Okay, guys, you can be the fittest runner in the world. If you do not know how to move efficiently in the mountains, your time is not going to live up to what you're capable of. So, today I want to talk about everything that I think about when you have to move efficiently through technical, not maintained, steep mountains like the White Mountains, all the gear that I use, the tips and tricks that I've used in my ultras to shave off time. I'm going to go through it all. And I think there's going to be tips from that's going to help you in the short distance and all the way to ultra marathons. So I'll cover everything that I do and think about. We're going to talk shoes, what shoes work good in the White Mountains. There's not many good shoe options, so we'll kind of talk about the range and what I like to wear. We're going to talk about gear hacks, little things that I bring. I got a bag of stuff with me, so we'll go through all the stuff that I bring. We'll talk about strategies for moving efficiently because everyone knows running on rocks is different than running on a road. Different mechanics. Your running economy doesn't matter as much. Your speed, your fitness, your overall power does, but there are certain ways that you can train and move through the trails that just help you get through it faster. We'll talk about cooling, navigation, light stuff if you're doing overnight things. We're going to cover it all. Hiking versus running, poles, the whole nine. We'll go through it all. I got a bunch of gear. That's what we got today. I'm not in my truck. My truck's got boo-boos. I'm not in my truck. But this is a new setup. Race previews. We got some big races coming up this weekend. The Tark Wapak and back, Manchester to Monadnock. So we'll do that at the end. We have some race results to get through. And at the end, we're going to go through a 60-second training tip. Boom. That's what is on the agenda today. So stick around. Okay. First up, we're going to go through shoes. I got a few pairs of shoes here. We'll talk through each of them. But first, I just want to give you my thoughts on how to select a good shoe type for steep technical mountains, because it seems like there's not a ton of good shoe options. And everyone has their preferences. I'll just talk about what I look for and what I like to wear. So I think in the White Mountains, you need a few things. You need good grip, for sure. You're running on slabs. You're running on wet, steep rocks. You need something that's going to grip on those rocks. Even if it's not wet, you need good grip. You need good lugs, like deep lugs. I'm not fully into the specs, but I would say at least 4, 5, 6 millimeters of lug because you're running through a lot of mud. You need that grip. Like good lugs with sticky, grippy shoes is the best traction that you're going to get, and you need the best traction. So those are two things that are a must. Cushion. This is a big thing with cushion. You want cushion and or a rock plate because when you're running when your foot is landing on little pieces of rock, jagged rock, it just mangles your feet up. Everyone knows you do an ultra in the whites, your feet are mangled. So you need something with enough cushion to protect your feet, but you don't want crazy high stack height. Because if you're unstable, right, you want a stable shoe. If you have a high stack height, you're just more prone to rolling your ankle on all the technical little rocks. So it's kind of like you need some cushion, but you don't need the maximum cushion. You can't be running in huge stack heights, right? And then last thing, you want to be fast, so you want a light shoe. I think as far as efficiency, someone's telling me this, the lighter the shoe, the better. The lighter the shoe, the faster you're going to go. It's just when you have weight at the end of your body, at the end of your legs, it costs a lot to move that weight. So the lighter the shoe, the better. So you want a really light shoe, but you want the cush, you want all that grip, you want the lug. So it's kind of like you can't get both in one usually. So that's the equation to get a good shoe. Now, I got a few shoes here, so I'll talk through them. We'll start with, this is just the spectrum of shoes. So I think if you're running something short, you definitely don't need as much cushion. You don't need as much protection, right? You want something really light if you're going right uphill. Oh, sorry. We're going to say one more thing about cushion. The other thing with cushion, some people, if they go lower stack height, less cushioning, I think on the downhills, they can't open up as much. when I have a lot of cushion on the downhills, you can bomb some of these downhills and it doesn't hurt as much, right? Like, a lot of people talk about I want to feel the rocks. If I'm bombing down a steep, gnarly descent, I don't want to feel the rocks. I want to feel nothing. I don't want my legs to hurt, right? So I think the more cush lets you go faster downhill. So if you're doing a short race, you can probably get away with it. Like your legs can just absorb that for a shorter race. So light's more important than good cush on a shorter race. And then if you're doing a VK, Race the Cog, Mount Washington, that's a road race, but an uphill race, White Mountains Throwdown, you want a light shoe. So this is one of my light shoes. It's a Hoka Zinal. It's a very minimal, low stack. I don't even know what the drop is, but low drop, lightweight shoe. These are one of the older versions. They went on sale. But this is the kind of shoe that I'm talking about. So you can just see, it's just a low to the ground. You got that kind of feel, that ground feel, and it doesn't weigh a lot. So you can run faster in this. So that's going to be one option. Nowadays, there's definitely some better options. Like that is probably a very cheap shoe. But if you have some sort of the normal shoes, I think those are very minimalist, lightweight, fast, but have some of the grip in them. I think that's a good shoe. Obviously, anything that Killian does is going to be a pretty good shoe. So that's one option. VJs, I mean, they go out of business. So can we even talk about the VJs anymore? I don't know. Who knows? You got to go to Canada to get VJs? I don't know. VJs had a really good grip. I think they were a little stiff, but I think one of the shoes was pretty light. So that's a pretty good option. And then super shoes. I mean, if you go with some sort of super shoe, there's a lot of them. We got one right here, La Sportiva Prodigy Pro. I mean, the Hoka Tecton. There's a handful of those options. You can get away with a light shoe with super foam, right? Some sort of super shoe foam or some sort of plate if you're just going uphill. And those are all, they make them pretty light, but they're very unstable on the terrain. So I think those shoes are good for VKs, but if you're racing down a mountain, I don't think they're very good. Or there might not be a good option because how you run down a mountain in the whites is different than on a road, right? So when you're talking a super shoe, and I guess this merged from like a minimalist shoe to a super shoe talk. So the next one up, La Sportiva Prodigy Pro, just got these, trying them out. They have really good grip, decent lugs. They're very light. They have a rock plate and they have super foam. So we'll talk about the super shoe because I kind of jumped the gun there. Super shoes are very good. You got 2026 technology. The foam, and if they have a carbon plate in them, they're gonna give you bounce back. They're gonna give you, I'm forgetting the term. I'm not a shoe specialist here. Rebound maybe. When you're putting all your energy and force into the ground, it's basically working to shoot it back up at you. So your legs can just keep moving over. You can move your feet over, which is good for a road race. You're trying to move the feet over, turn over. But when you're going down a mountain, I've found when you're in steep technical stuff, sometimes you need to slow. You're actually like, it's basically a bunch of kind of box jumps down where you want to keep your momentum the best that you can, but if you just go over the edge of a steep cliff and just bombs away, you're gonna tumble and you're gonna die. So there's a part of me where when I'm going strong down a downhill, I actually want to stop my momentum a little bit. You know how sometimes you grab trees, you put your two hands down to jump down a little ledge or something, or you use your poles to stop yourself? That's the same thing that you want on some of these downhills when you can't get out of control. You have to stay in control. And so if you have a carbon plate that's basically trying to push your foot forward, but you're trying to stop it, it leads to ankle rolls. It leads to a lot of bad things, stumbly, unstable stuff, right? So up, down, if you're thinking a short distance up, down, I think a shoe like this with no bounce back, but is very light, so you're going to get the economy of just having a light shoe, not having to move a lot of weight, very minimal, and with good grip on it. That's where you want to go. So maybe a super shoe on a VK, a short up down. You want some sort of very low. I think a normal would be a good shoe for this. Very, I don't know. I don't think they have super foam in it, but something that's light, that's got good grip in it. Something like that is going to be good. And then for the ultra distance, I think you probably don't want either. I think you want medium cushion, medium stack height, and just good grip is going to be the biggest thing. Because when you're getting tired in the mountains in an ultra, it's even harder to keep those muscles, those stabilizer muscles firing. And so I think grip is going to be the most important thing in a shoe when I'm thinking ultra distance in the mountains. So Vibram, a lot of people, that's Vibram. We'll talk about, these are the Hoka Speedgoats. Everyone knows the Vibram grip is very good. These La Sportiva Prodigy Pros, actually, they have the friction, which is La Sportiva's kind of whatever sticky technology. I was very impressed wearing these for the first time. I think that grip is very, very good, and I do like it. So I think grip is number one. Medium cush, which is kind of like these Prodigy Pros, and then the Hoka Speedgoats are maximum cushion. There are some shoes that are max cush, and I think Hoka makes them. The Stinsons, I think, are extremely max cush. I think they're a newer shoe. And like I said, you're gonna protect your foot a little bit better and your feet on the just ultras, being out there on the rugged rocks for a long time. And then you're also going to absorb more in that thicker foam on ultras, so your legs just don't get as much of a pounding, but you got to be able to run in them. I feel like a lot of people have always said, I don't know how you're still running in those Hoka Speedgoats in the mountains. Kind of crazy, so tippy, unstable. And I mean, if you've listened to this podcast for an extended period of time, you just hear me complain about my ankle at every other episode. So I don't know if it's worked out for me. That's why I'm kind of like, maybe I need something different. But I really do like them. If you can get used to that thicker stack height and just don't roll your ankle, I think it will benefit you. But for most people, I think medium cush is going to be good for an ultra distance. So that's like the Speedgoat Max Cush. Then I want to talk about these shoes real quick because I do really like these shoes. I tried them out a couple times. It's a medium cush, really good grip, and there's a rock plate, which doesn't give you as much bounce back. It just kind of protects you. But I think there is a super foam in these shoes. So these are super shoes. They want to go. I think because I'm so used to running in the Speedgoats that I've gotten used to a slightly unstable shoe. And so maybe I can get away with wearing the slight super shoe if I'm used to the unstable and I just wear them kind of during race efforts. But I would never wear a shoe that wants to go and is giving me that bounce back on like just a training run or a non-race prep run, because they're just too unstable and just too much risk for rolling an ankle and the steep stuff. So I don't know. That's kind of the spectrum of shoe stuff. I think short distance, grippy and lightweight. Medium distance, grippy and lightweight with maybe a little bit more cush. And then long distance, grippy with more cush. So I think grip is the answer. Good lugs is number one. And then whatever works for you. Try out some different shoes and see what works for you. So I think those are the fastest shoes on trail. I mean, everyone loves to just talk about speed in the mountains or speed running, and it's always like, what shoe are they wearing? What shoe was he wearing for a 159 marathon? Adidas. So that's some of the shoe talk that I was thinking about. Everyone's going to have their own things, but that's as far as the shoes. And then I want to talk about gear. So I'm just going to go through some of the things, and I guess I'll do a little gear preview and tell you this. How to be efficient in the mountains. The number one thing for long distance, which most of these are going to apply to, and then some of these are just going to be for short distance too, but for long distance, is not stopping. I think people would be amazed at how much better of a time you would have if you just never stopped on trail. Try stopping once in a while for 2-3 minutes and then catch up to somebody running the same speed. Or when someone on the trail stops and you go ahead of them and you just kept moving and they stop but you're moving the same pace. It is crazy how much time you lose just stopping. So I think the number one thing being efficient is never stop in the mountains, never stop moving. obviously for every race, but I think the reason why in the mountains it's so important is because there are so many, you're bringing a lot of gear with you, especially for an ultra, longer things. So you're always kind of fiddling with stuff, making sure that you're used to your equipment. So, I mean, basically, you just don't want to stop. You want to do that stuff on the fly. And I'll just show you everything that I bring to make sure that I'm never stopping. So, I think the first thing, just water bottles. Do I have my cap here? So talking about water, I think, another thing with the gear is you want to go as light as possible. The less gear that you can wear, the better off you're going to be. This is just like weight versus power, right? Is the in biking it's a lot bigger, but in running too. How strong are your legs and how much do you weigh and what do you carry? And this is not get as light as possible, get as strong as possible and lighten your pack as much as possible. So, one of the heaviest things in your pack is going to be water. If you bring 2 liters of water, 3 liters of water, that is going to be horribly heavy. So fill up water whenever you can. The easiest, quickest, lightest way to do this is just get one of these filter flasks. This is a Katahdin. I'm sure there's a bunch. Solomon makes them. Get a filter flask. Bring the minimum amount of water that you can without having to, where you can fill up at a stream. So knowing where all the streams are and where you can fill up is going to save you a lot of effort just lugging water around. These Katahdin filters fit on the top of, this is the older Solomon bottle. I think the newer ones have smaller necks. Is that what they're called, a neck? But these fit right in here, so you don't even need to, this just works in the bottle that comes with Katahdin, and it fits for the Solomon that you can put in your little Solomon vest sleeves. So don't bring that much water, fill up water, and then if you finish an effort or you get to a water source with half a liter left of water, you did a poor job of managing. If this is, you're either not drinking enough, so just drink the water before you're getting close to a water source, or if you're carrying more water and you realize, oh, I'm kind of close to that stream, it's a mile away, dump your water. Get rid of the weight. Don't keep it in your pack. I think it's just a waste, and when I finish a run with a lot of water on me, I'm upset at myself. So that's number one. I mean, I'm just going to go through some of all the gear that I bring on summer stuff. This is kind of like, I know I did the full winter gear, but this will be some of the summer stuff. Here's going to be some lube. Everyone knows in ultras, especially in the mountains, if it's wet, you're just going to chafe. And the best way to carry lube and apply lube without like stopping is put it in a sandwich Ziploc bag like this. And then, so basically take a Ziploc bag, put it inside out, grab the lube in the middle of it, undo the bag. I think I'm explaining this right if you're not watching. And then it zips up normal, and when you use it, you just do the reverse, where you put your hand on the clean side, and then you can just rub it everywhere, and then when you're done with it, you just fold it back in. You never have to touch it. Your hands don't have to get all gross. This is no extra weight. They make some packets, like you can get some small anti-chafe packets to bring with you, like in case you need, because I usually, it's not like you want to plan to chafe a bunch, right? You want to kind of have that solved from the beginning, but it's like if you do, you want to have something in your kit. So they make little packs, but then there's no easy way. You have to still put it on your hands and rub everything. So I don't like it. Another thing is for really long races, you can do the same thing with sunscreen. You don't want to bring a whole bottle. You don't want your sunscreen to get, you don't want the BBOs or whatever's in a sunscreen that's not healthy for you, getting all over your hands and then licking some sort of gel with your hands. You can do the same thing with sunscreen. Leuco tape. This is just Kineo tape. Where did that come from? Oh, I was thinking KT, but then I was thinking Main Mount Kineo. Leuco tape is just like the best tape that won't stick off. So this is kind of heavy, but this is always just something that I will bring. I wouldn't bring this. Like I would put the lube in a bag, but you always want to do this before. And this is a good tip before the mountains this summer. You want to put some sort of anti-chafing lube on your feet the first few hard, long mountain runs, because if you don't, your feet just aren't prepped for it, and the rocks are just going to chew you up, and you don't want to start the season off with a really bad blister. That's just no fun. This one's self-explanatory. If you're, I should just not even say if you're watching. No, just bring a little bit of toilet paper, so you don't have a dirty catastrophe. Caffeine pills. I think that caffeine on a long effort is very helpful. If you haven't tried it, you should try it. I think it works. This I put this video out on most platforms. Maybe you've seen it in short form, but maple syrup in a 2-ounce Nalgene is very. If you don't want to buy the maple syrup packs, you can put it in the Nalgene. But I also really like putting your hydration mix in these. It's like, I don't know. I said it's exactly 1 serving in the video, but for the hydration mix, it's also close to a serving or whatever. I don't know what even I think of serving is at, like 200 calories. So 50 grams of carbs. But this is better than those packets that you have to rip off and hope that you rip it clean, that it doesn't rip weird, and then hope you've put it in your bottle. This is the neck of this fits in the neck of your bottle. So if you're filling up hydration on trail, like, you know, you filled up at an aid station, but then you have to refill water and you want hydration mix back in your bottles, bring 2 of these, and they dump in so fast. This probably weighs a little bit more than the individual plastic packs, but I've found that they're easier and take up less time, so it's worth it to me to just bring a 2-ounce Nalgene. So these Nalgenes are good little things to bring out in the mountains. Vest. So here's a vest. Vest versus a running belt. This one, I feel like the belt is making a comeback. I don't know if belt technology is getting really, really good, but a lot of people are wearing just belts now, even into the mountains, and I'll give you my thoughts on it. So, this is actually a funny thing. I should have started this off at the beginning when I was talking about not bringing a lot of things. I think there's an arc in every trail runner or runner's lifespan where you start off and you don't have a lot of stuff, but you just want to kind of get out and do it. So you do it, and then you buy all the things. Oh, you gotta, I need this vest. I need these poles. I need these things. I need these gaiters. I need these shin things. I need it. Like, you get the whole kit and caboodle that, and you just have a ton of stuff. I have a bladder. I have all these things. And then you kind of realize, like, you don't actually need a lot of that stuff. Like, just go out there, keep everything super basic, super minimal. Less things to wear and fuss with is probably going to be faster. So I think that's where the belt is. Like, oh, guys, do we even need a vest? I think the belts are pretty good. So the difference between the two, I think the number one difference you're going to get, because if you have to carry a liter of water, you have to carry a liter of water. Like, that weighs the same. But I think when you wear a vest up top on a hot summer day, it's harder to cool off. It's a little bit warmer. And if you wear a shirt under it, then it's just like a little bit too warm and your body can't shed heat fast enough. I think it's more comfortable to carry extra weight on your upper body frame, but you don't get that upper body to release heat as easy. So I think it slows you down in that sense. I think it is faster in terms of where everything is. It's easier to get nutrition, hydration, all the stuff fast when you're wearing the vest. So speed is on that side, but you're just going to be hotter, so you go slower. So I think in that sense, the belt is faster. If you can carry a liter in a belt with snacks and it doesn't slow you up grabbing everything, I think ultimately this would be faster. But the reason that I don't specifically love this is because if you get a good belt that doesn't bounce, that's great. But if you get a good belt that doesn't bounce, you're putting a lot of pressure on your abdomen, your lower abdomen, and maybe your stomach. And I've had, I've talked about this in my Lodge to Dodge story. I had I'm at a park right now, and there's some there's some people fishing by me. I got hit in the family jewels. Basically, it felt like that, and I had a really bad time that I couldn't run in one of my long efforts. And I think one of the things that was attributing to that was so much pressure on my abdomen. So I was carrying water, some things, my phone with the waist light around my belt, and it was not good. So if you're going for a longer effort, the abdomen pressure plus pressure in your stomach, where your stomach, if you're pushing yourself, so you're trying to process high carb. David Roach has me eating 250 grams of carb every hour. Your stomach's already working to the max. I don't know if this belt is really good. Maybe for some people they don't have a problem with it, but I feel like I have a little bit of a problem with it. So if I can stay cool, I'm wearing the vest. If I am doing a shorter effort and I think that it's going to be a hot day and I can't stay cool, I'm probably going to wear the belt. So that's what I feel about the pack versus the belt right there. Some other things, the light gloves in a buff is all the, not in summer, but fringe, spring, fall, winter. These are just, I mean, if you don't have a light pair of gloves in a nice buff, the most versatile, easy things, your hands get cold first, and the gaiter can be a neck gaiter, can go over your head, can go over your hands, everything. It's so versatile. So those things are, if there's a potential for colder conditions, I would always have that. I didn't have it today, but also a good idea is just to have hand warmers. Hand warmers on, potentially cold day, and then a lighter and a match. Did I bring those? I don't think I brought those, but those two. Next up, emergency blanket. This one's pretty self-explanatory. A poncho. I've given this tip before, but I really think that a poncho, a reusable poncho that I've never opened, is the lightest, best way to have a layer in your pack to stay dry. I was my mom listens to this podcast. She's obviously a big hiker. She's been on the podcast, and she told me, like, "Hey Andrew, you've said this a couple times. You shouldn't really say this on the podcast." I've said, if there's a lot of people on trail, you don't need to bring as much stuff, safety stuff, 10 essential stuff. Like, you can get away with some things. She was like, Andrew, you cannot say that. But I just think it's kind of true. In context, guys, in context. If you break your ankle, you break your ankle, right? You're screwed. You got to figure out a way out. And I'm just saying, if there's other people on the trail, if you break your ankle, they're going to be able to get to the trailhead and call someone, whether you have a 2-man insulated tent or not, right? Like, it's just something to think about. So I'm not advocating everyone go. I'm going to do again for this episode. I'm going to list the 10 hiking essentials. You should be bringing those on every hike and or run. And this is not a safety talk. This is an efficiency talk. So I'm sorry, Mom, but it is actually kind of nice that I think she listens to most of them. And if I say anything crazy, she'll just let me know. Hopefully in somewhat quick of a time where I can, because I am going to say some stupid things. But I think sometimes you don't need a full proof rain jacket. If you have an emergency blanket in a rain poncho, I think you're going to be able to stay dry and stay warm in the summer in above freezing temps. Sue me. Sue me. So it's just, when you think of an impermeable barrier, I want to tell this story too. This is a sad story, guys. When you think of a good raincoat, everyone knows if you wear a raincoat running, if it's good and it doesn't let water through, you just sweat on the inside and you get wet on the inside anyway. It keeps water out, but it keeps water in. So it's like, and then they make a breathable rain jacket. If a company is selling you a breathable rain jacket, I just think there's something weird about that. So I think an impermeable layer is an impermeable layer. This is plastic. This will not get through. Obviously, if you're dinging it on rocks, on trees, it's going to get holes in it. You'll get a little bit wet, but this goes over to your knees. I think this keeps you warmer sometimes. So anyhow, there was a requirement down when I went to Hellbender 100 in North Carolina. The requirement was a windproof, waterproof weather coat. And at the time, I think I had a waterproof or a windproof, but not a waterproof, I had a waterproof thing, but it was so heavy. It wasn't like this thing, which we'll talk about. So I wanted a lightweight overthrow, as light as I can get, because I'm going to be running at Hellbender. I'm trying to run. And they're just really expensive. So I was like, you know what? There was this guy, there was one person in like Georgia or something that was making these hand-sewed Dyneema composite material raincoats, overthrows. He stitched them up. They look good. They were 4 ounces. So I'm like, sign me up. Dyneema. What is that Dyneema called? It's Cuban fiber. It's like what the Hyperlight and all those lightweight backpacks use. So I'm like, let me get this. And he's like, I looked in his website. It was like kind of like it wasn't working. And I was like, huh, that's kind of weird. So I checked back, it wasn't working. So I email him and he's like, they sell out, oh, we sell out, I put it, no. He said, I put everything up the first of the month. I was like, okay. So the next first of the month, I wake up 7:30 a.m. and I go to check and the website's still being weird. I'm like, the website's not working. He's like, we sold out by 3. I was like, oh my gosh. So I got to wait for the next month. And the lead time was 6 to 8 weeks and it wasn't time for Hellbender. So I'm in my, I'm just going to do it myself mindset. And I ordered templates. I don't know, what are they called? I think templates maybe, to sew my own Dyneema composite raincoat. Hand sew. Well, I want to sew it. So I was like looking online. There are some templates you can buy for certain raincoats. You can buy the fiber in bulk, or you can buy the material in bulk. I'm going to sew this thing. So I order the material and they say, like, not a lot of big companies do it because it's really hard to sew that material well, like have good seams that you can wear and it fits good. So I was like, I'll just do it, sewing, we put the needle up and down. I got the material and I'm like, well, it's going to be tricky, but I'll try it. My sister, shout out, had a sewing machine and I went to use it on the material and I learned that thing has a mind of its own, and I, even putting in some training time, am not going to control this beast. I didn't know how to work it. I was watching videos and it took me a couple times. I would jam and I would kind of figure out how to re-get it. And then I just learned, even if I knew how to set it up and get it working, I just didn't have control of it. The thing was just going so fast, the needle up and down. I was like, I can't do this. So I'm thinking, well, what's the problem? I can't sew, but I need to sew this thing now. I have a needle at home. Let me hand sew it. Long story short, I hand sewed this Dyneema composite material. I should put the pictures in this video right here because I was so proud of it. This lightweight thing. And it was the worst day of my life. Sewing that thing, cutting out the fabric, cutting out the material, hand sewing it, doing the seams was the worst day of my life. But I made it work. It was kind of a tight fit. I used it at Hellbender, and then somewhere in the thing with Hellbender, like I used it for one race and I lost it. Horribly sad. Just such a sad. I cannot find it. I've gone through everything I own. I can't find it. The thing cost me as much, it probably cost me $300 to make with the material and all the stuff, and I had to buy the things, and I cut it out wrong, and it fit weird, but I did it, and I had it, and I'll never forget it. That's my lightweight raincoat story. This is a game changer. Talked about this in the winter, especially in the summer too. It's a windproof. It's like a Houdini. I think this is Black Diamonds, but it's just an overthrow, super lightweight, not waterproof, but it's windproof, and it keeps you really warm above tree line with a little bit of wind. That's like a good layer to have on all your runs. A hat. Andrew, what can a hat make me efficient and move good in the mountains? A hat. Dunking a hat in a crossing, if you're gonna wear a hat, is one of the best ways to cool yourself during an effort. Cooling's a big thing. Everyone knows about cooling. The cooler you can keep your body, the more output you can do for the same amount of work. It takes a lot of effort and energy to cool your body down. Every stream crossing, you should be dunking your hat in the water, dunking your hands quick, dunking your arms, dunking this, getting everything wet that you can to stay cool on a hot day. I do believe that. I remember in the Jigger Johnson, a couple times, I think at the beginning of one, or I don't know. I've been to races where I cross a stream and I dunk it just really quickly, get my hands cold, get my face cold, get my hat cold, and no one else does. And I'm thinking that is a miss right there, guys. Sunglasses, I don't wear them too much, but once in a while I get above tree line and I'm like, wow, I forgot about sunglasses. Gaiters, I don't really know how I feel about gaiters. I used to wear them a lot, and now I pretty much never wear them. Some of the shoes have them built in now these days, but I just feel like when I run in the whites, here's my thoughts on gaiters. If you're running in lower elevation where there's lots of leaves, pine needles, flatter, lower elevation trails below 2,500 feet, I think, and you're going for a long run, I think gaiters can be good. But in the whites, I don't get a lot of dirt and rocks in my shoes. I just don't. I don't know. And I'm not one of those guys, like I have mud marks on my on my legs all the time. I remember one time Andrew Soares said, something talking about mud marks on the inside of your calves. You know how a lot of people get that? I'm notorious for, I get that a lot. I don't know what that means. I just have bad form. But he's like, no, I don't have mud marks on my calves because I'm not a hack. And I just always remember that. I don't know if he was joking but I was like, that is me. I guess I'm just a hack on the trails. I think there's definitely, as far as like if you're thinking efficiency, and it's probably not efficient to just hit your legs on every stride. But anyway, I don't get a lot of stuff in my shoes. So, and I think it really is like when you're just running on steep rocks, there's nothing else but steep rocks there. So like what's going to get in your shoes? I do feel like these can keep my feet and ankles a little bit warm, like not as breathable, which I think is going to slow you down. So I actually don't recommend that a lot of people wear gaiters. Like I said, depending on the elevation of your race, if you're racing high altitude in the whites, like Prezi stuff, above treeline stuff, 4,000 footer stuff, long projects, whites 100, hut traverse, Pemi loop, Prezi, I wouldn't wear the gaiters. I think that they slow you down. That's just me. Let me know what you think. Navigation is a big one. So this is like, if you're doing an ultra in navigation, and I guess we're doing a gear talk, but I'm giving tips. And then lastly, we are going to talk about strategies to navigate good. So navigation is a big one. If you miss a turn in a race, that is not efficient. On these backcountry trails, knowing where you're going, not making mistakes, not second guessing. Anytime that you look at your phone to second guess or look at your watch to second guess, you don't know where you are. I think it's stoppage time, and I think you're just losing out. So what does this have to do with anything? Keep your phone charged and check your phone to make sure you're on course instead of like, I don't know, pulling something out of your pack. I don't know where this fits in with this. Anyway, keep your phone charged. If your phone dies, you have no navigation, you get lost. I guess that's what I'm saying. So I bring a lightweight, as light as I can get on this. Only on a long distance ultra though. Like I try not to bring that on a regular run. This is just a heart rate monitor. But yeah, navigation. I think there's something about when you see a junction, I think if you go hard into that junction as opposed to stopping and checking and second guessing and looking this way and feeling, I think it saves like 5 or 10 seconds, but I think it saves more than that. I don't know what it is. I think if you hit a junction hard, you know where you are. I think it saves a lot of time. So load everything on your watch, because lots of watches have the route now. Just load it on your watch. It's the easiest way where you're not going to stop. Your phone, if you have like an offline map, a Gaia, I do that a lot. And on the climbs, I feel like I can get away with checking my phone and not losing much time because you're going slower. But on the descents, you do not want to stop and check your phone to figure out where you are. So keep it on your watch. Previewing a route, just if you haven't been to a junction, go check out the junction, your pre-race scouting. I think it'll help you save time and stay moving. So that's the navigation stuff. And then lights. I think just a headlamp, like having a light in the night, is going to help you navigate. 60-second tip. A waist light, I mean, a lot of people know this by now, but a waist light is a really good thing to have on technical terrain. It gives you a second vantage point where a light's coming from, so you get different shadows. It's easier to run on technical stuff. I don't think running in the night is good. I don't think it's fast. I don't like it. I think it's annoying. That's what I think about running at night. So I think planning an effort, if you do a non-race or in some sort of effort where I think maximizing the daylight, so go sometime in June maybe for a long distance thing. And then if it's a 12-hour effort, line it up so you're only going in daylight. I think that's going to help you a ton. But if you have to, wear a headlight and a waist light. Poles. This is going to transition into where we're talking about how to be efficient in the mountains and how to move efficiently. So we're going to talk a little bit about like running versus hiking. We're going to talk about poles. We're going to talk about why some people are super fit but can't run on rocks. This is the transition from we're out of the gear. This is the last gear talk. We're going to go into efficiency and strategies. Poles. What do I think about poles? I don't think this is a super controversial take, but we'll see how you guys feel about it. I think when I first got into running, like I said, I was like, I need to get poles. Poles for mountains is faster. I think it can be. But I do not recommend, I wouldn't recommend poles to somebody as this is important for your success. And here's what I'll talk about. Because I don't use poles that much. I am not planning an effort in the next 2 years that would require poles. And I got some long things coming up. I think the poles save your legs for sure. If you're using poles, they save your legs and they put load on your arms, which helps save your legs. But the cost to do work, you can't measure running in watts, but you're creating a force that's getting you up the mountain, and the force has to carry you and whatever you're carrying, right? I think to generate X amount of watts up a mountain, your legs are more efficient at doing that than your arms. No one would climb a mountain with their arms, right? That makes total sense. That makes total sense to me. Your leg muscles are bigger and stronger and more efficient. So why do people like poles, and when would you use poles? I think you would use poles when you're willing to save the legs and pay more in energy expended. So what do you mean by that? When would you do that? I think if you, like a lot of people at UTMB, you like poles, maybe like a White's 100, you like poles because your heart rate's not even close to that aerobic threshold. Your heart rate's low because you're going slower. You can eat more food because you're going slower. So you have more energy to spend. So although it's not as efficient to use it on your arms, it will save your legs. So if your legs aren't prepped for 30,000 feet of climbing, which it's hard to do that, then I think they're good, right? They can be beneficial. And especially, I think on low technical, low grade slopes, that is where people say they are the most efficient. And there's certain ways that you can use the poles. Go look online. I think that is when poles are the best. But I think in steep, rocky, rugged terrain, not 24-hour, you're talking maybe 10,000 or 20,000 feet of climbing area, I don't actually think that they're worth it. I think they do more harm than good. I think that they make you work harder, and they make you think about if you're running, you need to find 2 footholds for every time you will go 1-2, you have to find 2 good footholds, right? If you have poles, every time you do that, you have to find 4. So it takes more time to find 4 good footholds in the prezzies, right? A lot more time because there aren't that many good ones. So I think it's time consuming to find the poles. I think it's not even worth it if you think of it in an energy efficiency standpoint. And if you're doing like a prezzy and you need to save your legs for the last couple thousand feet, I just think you didn't train good enough. Like I think you should train your legs stronger. That's what I would say. And obviously if you're going into an ultra maybe a little bit underprepared, then yes, you could use poles. If you're doing big hikes, use poles. If you're trying to save your legs for the next week, use poles. But I think as far as speed and efficiency, get your legs stronger and don't rely on poles. And I think it's uplifting because when you don't have to bring poles, you can use more legs. If your legs are strong enough, you're going to be working a little bit less than you would with poles. You don't have to strap the poles on your belt or figure out a way to carry the poles. All this stuff. And I think certainly in technical terrain, this is where it's worth it. Now, when you're doing 30,000 feet of climbing, it's hard to prep a person to really do that. So I think when you get into that 24 plus hour range of effort, I think poles are probably worth it because you're going at a slower clip. But if you are pushing yourself in any capacity, I wouldn't suggest pushing with poles. Maybe on like a mountain marathon, I don't even know if they use poles there, but when it's really, if you're running 30 to 40% grades mostly on just your race, maybe they can be really good there. And I don't know, like some people in ski, that's like skimo. I'm thinking like skimo uphill racing. Yeah, I just don't want poles. I think if you can get away from it, get away from it. When I see someone on the stair climber at the gym, this is a pet peeve. I don't think I've ever told. I'm definitely not one to give advice at the gym. I'm not going to say anything. If somebody asks me, I'll tell them, but I do not. I don't go and give my advice. I just do my thing and I want to get out of there. But when I see somebody, and not to call anybody out, everyone's working hard. If you're at the gym, you're at least working. But when I see somebody on the stairs and they are leaning on those arms or even using the arms at all, I'm thinking to myself, you are just avoiding getting your legs stronger. You know what your problem is? Go slower and get your legs stronger. That's what I think you should be doing more of. I don't know. I just see people at the gym crushing stairs, but they're just half of their body weight is leaning on the armrest. So I would just assume that if I'm racing you up a mountain and we're halfway up, I don't know where you're going to put half of your body weight on a mountain and keep propelling yourself forward. Maybe poles. I think it does more than maybe poles, maybe. But then you got to be good at using the poles. They don't just stand there. So I think if you do Stairmasters, get your hands off those poles, just face your demons, get stronger. I had to do it. Maybe that's like the pole thing, like just get rid of the poles and get stronger. So that's what I think about poles. But then if we're even talking outside of, if you are a gritter, right? If you're a gritter, if you're a list person, if you're doing some vertical challenge, Amber Constant, you're doing some big effort, long distance, and you're just trying to check off lists and you're not going for speed, then poles are great. Like, you know that you're saving your legs because you're doing, gritters have to go every weekend and do 8-hour hikes every weekend, maybe twice a weekend, right? I think poles are great for that kind of thing. But I think as far as being efficient in a single effort, I wouldn't suggest it, right? So that's kind of like the differentiator. I don't mean to take the pole business down. I mean, obviously Lecky, a ton of people use Leckies. I have used them. But I'll give some examples quick. And I've been on the poles thing for too long. I got to get off these pole things. You got to get off the pole, Andrew. In Hellbender, I went and I was using poles, and Kyle Curtin didn't use poles. Sondre Steer, Thorne Bergson, who know him will know how crazy of a crusher that guy is. Those guys didn't use poles, and they ran it a heck of a lot faster than me, and I don't think they had any problems. So there it's like, well, they were just stronger, better, more prepared, faster, tougher than me. Jigger Johnson 100, I go to that, and I'm like, got to use poles on this one, the Jigger Johnson. Justin Kowski, I'm going over South Moat, and Justin's already out over the halfway. He comes back up South Moat, and he's just poking around easy as can be. He didn't use poles. He was just strong, trained, and tougher and faster, right? Jack Kenzel, the Whites 100. This guy, he didn't use poles. He does 32,000 feet of climbing over 90 miles, no poles. I, last year, did the Lodge to Dodge. I will keep saying this. I don't care if people think, oh, this guy keeps saying this. I think that effort was freaking fast, and I want someone to go after it and show how fast of an effort that was from Lodge to Dodge. The Dodge to Lodge is different, easier descents, way easier descents. The steepest, toughest mile in the AT is the last mile. I went down that. I think I was on the leaderboard, maybe close. No poles. I did that whole thing, no poles, and I was surprised how well I fared, how much faster I went, and I was just well-trained and fitter and stronger, had stronger legs. That is it. So I think poles are almost a crutch. If you're interested in getting faster and shorter-ish things, sub-ultra, ultra, 12-hour ultra, I think you got to get away from the poles, face your demons. Okay, so that finishes the gear talk. I mean, is this even... I don't know why I always do this, but I'm always just like, is this even recording? I said this on my last podcast. I'm like, I every episode I record, guys, I have a fear that I'm not getting it. I don't know if that's ever going to stop. Because, I think a lot of podcasts will have producers that will be like, hey, your audio's off. For me, it's just like, I have no idea. I can't see anything. Okay, so that's all the gear stuff. That's what I think about how to move efficiently. This is, ow, just bash my shin on this metal bar. That's what I think about that. And I think hopefully this is helpful to you all getting out in the mountains this summer. I think some of my episodes or some of my tips, I've just been like, here's the best thing for winter in late February. And it's like, Andrew, this would have been helpful a long time ago. Oh man, a bag runaway, and we got a lake Ow. Oh, and I got the short cord. Holy smokes. Okay. That was something. I need to step on this so I don't. Okay. I'm not even going to cut that. I'm sorry. So hopefully I give this to you guys before the season's up and you guys can use this information. The last thing I want to talk about is moving efficiently on trail. Excuse me. Oh my God. Get it together. Some people are super fit and can't run on rocks. I've seen it before. I've seen super fast guys, maybe road people, maybe out west trail guys, right? They're really fast, but they come out here and they can't put good times on the iconic routes. Prezi, Pemi, Hut Traverse, White's 100, like stuff. Some people just aren't good at running on rocks because they haven't done it a lot. And I think it is a different way to run. Running economy, I don't think it matters as much because when you're going uphill, it's a lot of just steps, right? So like approaches to mountains, you're gonna need to run, and if they're faster, they're fitter, it's gonna be good. But when you're hiking steep stuff from rock to rock, I think you just need to be strong at doing little 2-3 foot step ups, which is like kind of like what Stairmaster is. So I think you could do a lot of Stairmaster and get really good at climbing in that blocky kind of way, which a lot of these trails are, and you're going to be better off than like being really fast and good at turning over on a road. So I think that's one reason why people have problems. Another one is the downhill running. It's kind of running, but it's kind of just jumping from rock to rock to rock. It's kind of like an agility, athletic thing where you're just doing a bunch of jumps onto one single leg jumps. So I think you want to be strong. I think you want to be athletic. You have to have good footwork coordination. I think all this stuff comes with practice. If you want to get better at running on rocks, I think you just have to run on rocks a lot. So that's just like the running on rock portion. But some of the things that I think about being smooth on trail, they say slow is smooth, smooth is fast, especially in the whites and especially on technical stuff. I think that is very true. If you're going down a 20% grade and you're like trying really hard to be fast, you're like, oh my God, I'm trying to go fast, and you're tense, you're probably going to be slowing down. It's going to be more jarring. It's going to be more, it's not going to be smooth. I think the best way to go up and down a mountain is like they say, be like water. It's like a flow up and down the mountain, like no resistance, just go with what's coming with you. And Andrew, this is kind of I can't be a drop of water. I think there's almost a mindset of, I know this is hard and this is not flowy and I can't get in a good rhythm, but once you figure out that is the rhythm and you just kind of go with it and like lighten up and you don't, I think you move faster. So I think it's really just working on being smooth, being efficient, and you're going to kind of learn. One thing that helped me, actually, I started wearing a heart rate monitor a couple years ago. I've been wearing a heart rate monitor for a few years. Wear a heart rate monitor, pin your heart rate at a certain heart rate, and then run on an undulating rocky trail in the whites. And I think you will learn some things because I think it really helped me learn how to be smooth. Sometimes you have like ups and downs, how to be smooth on ups and downs. I've learned that when you're going uphill, your heart rate's going to be higher. But when you have little drops and little dips and downhills, your heart rate drops. So you can speed up a little bit, right? At the same energy cost. And I think knowing that is like when you hit a little downhill quick, you got to kind of use your momentum while your heart rate's dropping to be the same energy level and then get going up the little uphill. And then you kind of get up that to the top of it at the end. And your heart rate's about the same. In those dips, sometimes you have to go like the trail dips down, but sometimes there's little dips. And I think if you can avoid going down and you just stay at the elevation to not have to go that kind of like up and down thing, I think that can help. But there are all these little problems or like trail things that pop up that you can, once you kind of like do it a lot and find a flow and can kind of track effort level, I think you get better at identifying the best easiest way to get over these obstacles. So I think it's a little bit of a flow thing. I think late in ultras, if you complain about technicality, that slows you down. Sometimes I'll be complaining on a downhill, this is so bad, I'm going so slow, this hurts so much. And when I just shut up, how much further? When I just shut up, I just seem to go a lot faster. So I think there is a resistance that a lot of people face, and if you let it affect you, it slows you down greatly. But if you embrace it, if you learn how your body likes to flow through, like, it seems kind of hippie and out there, but I don't know. There's just these like states where you're moving good in the mountains. You kind of like black out. That's when you're moving best. So I think that's like the philosophical way to run trails smoothly and effectively. I don't know. Is this kind of getting out of hand? Is that like, maybe I went down a path that I'm like, I don't know if I can kind of get out of this. So that's one thing. In the same effort. Okay, here's another example. Hancock Notch. This is a great topic. Hancock Notch is flat, but it's super rocky. You're going on streams. You are getting hit in the face with branches all the time, right? Those kind of things on a trail it does something like, you know how pro runners wear sunglasses because if they squint, they're losing energy to that? If you are getting affected by branches hitting you, leaves hitting you, rocky stuff, streams, all these things, there's like it holds you back and you can't go as slow. And when someone who's used to running smoking fast trails comes out and is like, oh man, I can't run these fast, there's this friction that I think slows them down. So if you want to run these gnarly trails, when you get to a place where stuff is hitting you in the face, it's overgrown, it's rocky, you can't move, you have to embrace it and go through it as if the trail was clear. There's I heard this thing once where if you're watching a deer in a field and it starts raining, you know what they do? Nothing. They don't even think about it. That's how I want you to be on a trail. When the trail goes from beautiful single track to crappy, gnarly, overgrown, rocky stuff, I don't even want you to blink. That's what I'm trying to do out there. I just want it to be normal and I flow through it. And I think that in this conversation, there are things that you can understand. I hope you can feel it. That you just have to embrace being on the trails. And if you embrace it, I think it allows you to go faster, and then you get better at it. You have the right gear like we talked about. All of these things. The last piece that I will add on to this is I think the skill, it's like being in the flow state, but I think it is this unrelenting, I need to move forward on this trail. This stream, this rock, this crappy descent, this crappy ascent, this all the stuff hitting me in the face, nothing will stop me. I don't care about it, and I am moving forward no matter what. That is like the mindset that you have to have, and it allows you to run faster on the trails. I do believe that. And so some people just don't have that, and that's great. Some people can't run a 4-minute mile. That's me, and that's okay. That's okay. I'm not trying to get on a track or run a 4-minute mile. Maybe I am. Do you think I could run a 4-minute mile? I don't know. There's no chance, right? Like, I don't know how, nowadays the world record is so fast, like 3:42 or something. Would it even be crazy for me to run a 4-minute mile? I texted this, I think I'm getting faster, but I think everyone is just getting faster. And I'm thinking, am I getting faster than the other people that are getting faster? 1:59 marathon. I think I can run in 1:58. This will walk on the park. Like, I don't know. Am I even getting faster compared to everyone? That's what I think about a lot. Okay, the last topic on the moving efficiently, hiking versus running. Hiking versus running. This is a good one. I think it depends on distance. I think a lot of people overrun and underhike in the White Mountains. Hiking is going to be more efficient. If you throw, for most people, throw on a treadmill, throw it on 12 or 15% grade, see what speed and heart rate that you can hike at or you can run at that is at the same effort level as you're hiking. Once you kind of find that and you realize that hiking, your heart rate's going to be 5 to 10 beats lower sometimes, you need to get hiking on those grades and just become a really strong hiker. Now, if you're doing a 10-mile race, or if you're doing a 2-mile race, it's going to be much less hiking, right? If you're doing a 10-mile, you should probably do more of it. If you're doing a 20-mile, you should do even more of it. If you're doing a 100-mile, you should be hiking a lot. Kyle Curtin told me this once while we were running together. He said, at the end, if it's a grade that I want to run at the end of the race, I'll run it now. But if I don't want to run this at the end of a race, at the end of my race, I'm not running it now. I think if you run the first full ascent, and then you can't run it at the end, you failed. You failed. You want a negative split races. Or running an effort consistently is the fastest way to do it, and or negative split. So if you can't run it, you're not planning to run this 10-minute mile up a hill at the end of a race, don't do it at the beginning when you're fresh. I think it's stupid. And a lot of the times, if you're on a 15, 12% grade, whatever percent grade, I've been in races where I just hike with people running, and I'm like, this has to be easier than me. My quads and my butt are bigger than your calves. Some people have crazy calves. Maybe that's not true. That actually might not be true. But again, this is going back to, would I rather climb a mountain with my arms or my legs? I would rather climb it with my legs. Would I rather climb a mountain with my butt and my quads and my thighs over my calves? I'd rather do the butt. Andrew, stop saying that. So I think people should be hiking closer to their running, and that's just going to depend on your fitness and the distance and the grades, and if it's smooth, if it's not smooth, you got to figure that out. That's the terrain talk today. That's how to move efficiently in the whites. Hopefully, and any technical, steep, gnarly terrain, hopefully that helps some of you. But that's all I got today. We'll do the 60-second tip now. Is there anything else I want to talk about? No, we'll do the 60-second tip now before we get into the race results. The 60-second tip this week is, if you're training for an ultra and you're doing speed work, take longer rest periods than you think. I don't want to get into a full discussion, but if you're training for a long distance ultra, you basically are going to be racing all at your aerobic threshold or under. You're not going to be in that tempo to up tempo zone, that red zone. And so you don't need to be good at running in that zone per se. So if you're not giving yourself full rest before some sort of intervals, you're just keeping your heart rate higher for, I don't want to say no reason, but you're not getting as much muscle gains as you could be than if you took a longer rest. If you're training for an ultra, you want your aerobic to be crazy good, crazy big, flying up mountains, and you want your legs to be really, really strong. And I think a study just came out. Maybe this is why it popped in my head, but it's something that I learned when I started doing my Stairmaster workouts. Is I don't think it does any good to just do a 30-second or a minute rest if I'm going really, really hard. I just rest. Even as much, if you do a 2-minute reps, rest for 2 minutes. Make sure you're fresh and then go again hard, because the harder you can go in your active zone 4, zone 5 areas, the more muscle gains and strength gains you're going to get. Now, if you're going for muscular endurance, you do want to have longer, you want to do an hour climb, a heavy pack climb, something like that. That's different. But if you're training for pure power, I think rest longer, go harder in your intervals. It will allow you to go harder in your intervals. But okay, that is all from Picnic Table Andrew. And now you will be hearing race result recap Andrew right now. Boom. Okay, guys, we are wrapping up with race previews, race results. I lied earlier. Manchester Monadnock, we're going to do that preview next week. So the big preview for this week is going to be the Tark, Wapak, and back races. We got the 43/50 miler and the 21.5 miler. This race always brings out sluggers, and there are sluggers on this list. I always am curious, the 43/50, you can sign up for the 43/50, which would be the Wapak range out and back. Same route as the 21, but you can just tell them which one you're doing, and even if you get, so the 50, I think, is you do the Wapak out and back, and then you do an extra summit of, I don't know if it's Watatic, one of the mountains at the end of the Wapak range, as like extra miles. And And so, but you can kind of like, I don't think you tell them which one you're racing, you just kind of finish and it's did. So it's a little bit liberal. So the 50, 43 and 50 milers are all jumbled together. So I don't know if they're all going to be doing the same race, but let's just go through the list because it's exciting. We'll start with the 43/50. Matt Carbone's in it, always a slugger, goes to Tark races all the time. He's always in the mix. I mean, David Herr, I've seen that name before, but is that, I don't know if from Cannes, Vermont, do I need to look this up? Oh my God, I can't. Sign up. No, this is a horrible preview. This is a horrible start to the preview. All right, we're going to keep going. He's a contender for sure. Tom Leo, Chad McDonald, super strong runners. Andy McGibbon's coming out for this. He just got 4th at Run Amok, 50K. Super fast, big slugger. He's in this race, which is super exciting. Walter Mahunin, he's in this race. And forgot to mention, Connor Brown is in this race. I can't believe I skipped his name up there. He's in this race as well. Caitlin Sheasley, I think she's a pretty strong. Jonathan Western's in this race. He's a super fast guy. There's 2 people, last name Wojcik, Wojcik. Shout out. It's so funny. There's someone else with this last name at my work, actually. And the funny thing is I actually have no idea how to pronounce their last name. It's the same last name, but I don't know how it's supposed to be pronounced because they got no A in there. So anyways, but some sluggers. So yeah, as far as the females, I don't know. There's definitely less of them in here, so I don't really know who will come out swinging for that. But I mean, Walter, Connor, Andy, Chad, Tom, these are just Jonathan Western. These are big name sluggers. Let's look at the wait list. Don't recognize anybody on that, but I'm sure and with these ones, I hope somebody comes prove me wrong. Somebody blows everyone out of the park that I didn't know about. All right, now we're going to go to the 21.5 miler. We're going to scroll the list. Scrolling. Robert Breckenridge, I think, does a bunch of races. I don't know, 603 Endurance. Patrick Heron's running this. He always runs this, and he's always duking it out with Travis Mahuin, who signed up for this race. So they're just signed up for another year of duking it out, which will be super exciting. We'll see if they sniff the course record. Oh, also, Roy Van Cleef is on this list. He's put down at least a banger time at the Manchester to Monadnock. He's some guy who could come in here and turn some heads. Also, Kara McGibbon, I don't know if I just remember, I think that's Annie McGibbon's maybe wife. I know I've seen her. She maybe ran the Jigger Johnson. I don't know how she did on that, but I do remember her name. Yeah, like I said, guys, I can't, these runreg.com, these Tark race entrance lists, I have no percentages, I have no old races, so I'm just going off names. On the wait list for the 21.5 miler, Stieg Bergtram. We need this guy to get in. He's another Monadnock fast guy. We need him to get in. Usually these wait lists go pretty, I was always told, like, if you're on the wait list, I don't know, should I say that? I think if you're on the wait list for Tark races, you usually get in, but who knows? I don't know. So anyway, this race should be super exciting to follow. We didn't even read the race preview, so we'll read the race preview for this. Taking place on May 9th, 2026, Ashburnham, Massachusetts. Technical out and back, 5330. The 50-mile distance is 10.8 thousand feet of climbing, several piece, Mount Watatic, North Pack. Runners can inspect varied terrain. Okay, that's the Tark Pack preview. And then we have 2 other races to preview. The CT Trail Mixers Spring Fling 600, May 9th, Southington, Connecticut, 600 minutes. You get 10 hours to do a 3-mile loop at Camp Sloper, YMCA. I literally had a friend, my roommate from college, work at Camp Sloper. That's insane. Southington, Connecticut, approximately 250 feet of gain per lap, mixed single track, rolling grassy mats. Social atmosphere, it's known for its social atmosphere and best ever aid station spread, making it an approachable entry point for those attempting their first distance. I know the CT Trail Mixers does a lot of these kind of events, these 600 events. Seems like a good way for people to get into the sport and throw down some 10-hour PRs. And then the other race, Watupa, 50K and 30K. This event kicks off May 9, 2026. Watupa Reservation, Fall River, Mass. 30 and 50K with a 10K too. Designed for flow and speed, rolling grass fire roads, smooth winding single track with relatively moderate elevation gains. Local favorite for local runners trying to set a personal best or fastest paced day in the forest without constant technical footing found in regional ultras. Those are the previews for this week. So we got some good ones. Basically all eyes on the Wapak and back and a couple other fun ones in southern New England. And then we're going to go through some results. Cobb's Cook Backyard Ultra, don't think we have any results there, so we're probably not going to get to those. We're going to go through quickly the Tark Spring Classic 50K. We're just going to go through the 50K because we're at least just going to do the Ultras. We'll read off the top three men. Nick Franchi wins it in 4:15. Sebastian Ruler wins second place, 4:20. Alan Peltz, he comes in third, 4:32. So that's a pretty, and then we said fourth and fifth, 4:37, 4:44. So pretty tight race there. Nick Franchi takes it home, 5-minute margin. And then for the women, Candice Lazzoni, she comes in first, 4:52. Ariel Vasquez, 4:52.47. And then, okay, holy smoke. So a 15-second, a photo finish for the women here. I feel like there's been a lot of photo finishes for women's ultras recently, or at least as I've been reading them. So Candace and Ariel, they go 1-2, and then Samantha Butler, she comes in 5:09. So that was a tight women's race too. That's those are the Tark Spring Classic 50K results. And then we're going to go to the 2026 Jack Bristol Lake Warrawog Ultra Race results, 100K, 50 mile, and 50K. Yeah, this took place April 26th. So we'll do 100K. Hiroshi Kawakatsu, he wins it, 7:28. Michael D. George comes in second, 7:32, and then Evan Titus, 8:32. So 1 and 2, 4 minutes apart. 3 comes in an hour after. And then winning it for the women, Rachel Spurrier, 10 hours, 1 minute. Second place, Miranda Gajda, 10 hours, 23 minutes. And then Jessie McCalla, 12 hours and 39. That's the podium for the 100K. We go to the 50 mile. 50 mile, Tyler Ravenel, he comes in 6:39, 7:58 minute per mile pace. Wait, what was the minute per mile pace for the 100K? Holy smokes. Oh my God. So this must be a lot. The 100K winning pace was 7:12, and then the second place was 7:15. So the 100K winner and the 100K second place ran a faster. Oh my God, that is smoking. What is the course records for this? The course record for the 100K, okay, this website kind of stinks, so we're not going to get that info, but that is insane that they ran that fast. So they smoked the 50 mile. But anyway, Tyler, we don't want to take away from the 50 mile winner, Tyler Ravenel, 6:39. Second place, Ryan Williams, 6:49. That dude is very fast. And then 2 minutes behind him in third place, Andrew Porter, 6:51. That's the men's top three. A female top three, Kelly Gillen, she wins it, 8:10. Natalie Trapanick, she comes in 8:25, second place, and then third place is Morgan Nault, 8:47. That's the 50 mile, and then last up the 50K. The 50K winner, Nikki Dupkin, 3:44. Now we don't want to say, but the 100K winner ran a faster pace than the 50K. Hiroshi Kawakatsu and Michael DeGeorge are freaking fast, and they're both 20 to 29, so they're young too. Shout out those guys, but shout out Nicky Dupin. He took down the 50K field, runs 3:44. Good lead. Kyle Surprenant, he comes in second, 4:02, and then Brandon Sheehan, 4:06. That's top three for men's, and then the female Raquel Branard, she wins it, 4:27. Kristen Spirdione, She comes in second, 4:31, so a 4-minute gap there, pretty close. And then a 3-minute gap behind for her, Susan Hurst. She comes in third. That's the Jack Bristol. So some fast people going out in the Jack Bristol Lake Warramag Ultra races. Those are results from a couple weekends ago, and that's all we got today, guys. That is the episode. Like I said, the New England race scene right now is hot and heavy. It's heating up. I didn't even preview the White Mountains Throwdown. I don't know. Is that a problem? Do we have to talk about the White Mountains Throwdown? May's White Mountains Throwdown, for anyone who hasn't heard, it's going to be a 2,000-foot climb in the the greater North Conway area. Holy smokes. Try to say that, Andrew. It's a 2,000-foot climb. We don't know exactly what it's going to be yet. Am I going to run it this weekend? Maybe. When you listen to that, have I already ran it? Maybe. I don't know. It depends on where it is. Depends on the timing. Depends on everything. It'll be fun. My prediction, should I do the prediction for the White Mountains Throwdown right now? Yeah, I will do it. My predictions for the White Mountains Throwdown is going to be this. I want to run it. I'm very much going to get this in my schedule, hopefully. I'm going to run it. What am I hoping to do there? I've done a little bit too much. I've been doing a lot of short, quick stuff, which one is not my forte. I know I'm pushing myself, but I need to get back to these ultras. And I am training up for a big ultra coming in the next, we'll call it 4 to 6 weeks, maybe 4 to 8 weeks, maybe. So that's one of the big efforts for the year. So I'm definitely all eyes on that. But I want to get a time at the Throwdown. I think I'm pretty fit for shorter stuff. I haven't done any 2,000 foot time trials recently, so I don't know where I'll be at. But the goal would be, who knows? I think, guys, Lars Hogney, holy crap, that dude is fast. I think he ran some last year. I just ran the moats, and so I looked at my run, and he ran the moats so damn fast, and so I did a little sneaking, little peeking. He is so fast, so young. I mean, last year he started racing trail, and he just swept. He ran a 2:04 at Kimsett Cliff Race, which that's only minutes behind David Sinclair and Dan Kurtz. He's 22 years old. I think if he shows up, he's got a really good chance of winning it. Another name that always shows up, Stephen Kerr. I mean, he's super fast. I think he's going to those two are probably going to go 1-2. Now, we have some outliers, too. Oh, I should do this preview at the beginning. Maybe we move this up to the first preview, but because I think this is one of the most. I mean, there's a bunch of sluggers in the Tark Wapak and back, but this will probably get the biggest draw because it's a race that you can do anytime during the month, anytime that fits your schedule. Stephen Kerr, he's super, super fast uphiller. He always shows out. So I would expect those two probably maybe go 1-2. Okay, that would be my prediction. Who else am I thinking of, though? If Dan Kurtz shows up, if Isaiah Conley shows up, if David Sinclair obviously shows up, those are some of the people who have run the Throwdowns in the past. They're up there 1, 2, 3 in that mix with Stephen Kerr and Lars. So that's like top of the field. The Mahuin brothers always up there, super fast, very, very quick. They're running top Tark Wapak back. We just talked about them, or going to talk about them. So they, I'm sure they're going to get this effort in. We'll see where they land. Pierre Penoyer, always a really, really fast uphill guy. He'll probably show up. So I'm thinking, crap. If it depends on who shows up for this race, but even I'm thinking if I crack top 5, I'm gonna be pretty happy with that. I have no idea. This is gonna be a good test of how fit I am in a 30-minute effort. But I'm excited to go out there and test myself. And this is just the men's. I don't know as much as the female. Do I have any predictions there? I didn't follow it closely. I don't know enough people from last year who were doing those races. So we'll see I don't have a good preview for you guys. I apologize. But we'll see when we'll definitely talk about it as it starts going. But yeah, so any of those guys, am I leaving out anyone? I mean, I'm sure there's lots of people I'm leaving out that I didn't mention. I mean, the Uncanunic boys, any of you boys going out there, we're gonna go rip it. Hopefully, I don't know who knows if we all rip it, but got some people shuffling around. But anyway, May's going to be exciting month for the ultra scene. I'm pumped. I'm getting prepped. Hopefully you guys are getting prepped. You guys are getting dialed in. You're getting your kits dialed in. I just did a little race effort run, getting prepped for my big races. So the opportunities are here. And listen, guys, if you have a race coming up in the next month or two and you have not ran it yet, now's the time to lock in, get that finishing touches, training physically, training mentally, and just know your story from this year's races, ultras, are not written yet. So I would encourage anyone to dream big, think big, script big, like make it a good story. Train hard and go freaking hard, because that's what I'm trying to do. So that's all we got. Appreciate you guys listening. As always, we'll see you next week, next Sunday, bright and early, 6 a.m. See ya. Peace.